Hello and welcome to Comics Planet. And I'm very excited and very thrilled to share this amazing news with you guys. From today onwards, I'll be bringing a pretty exciting series for all of you, and that is called Comics Simplified. And if you're wondering what we will do in Comics Simplified, so basically in Comics Simplified, I'll be bringing some legendary and amazing stories of comics from the past, and I'll be simplifying page by page each and everything only for you. So if you haven't read any comics, don't worry, have a popcorn, and if you still have read these comics before, then why not just enjoy it one more time? I mean, it's comics after all. So join me for this beautiful ride of Comics Simplified. And in this very first episode, we'll be having the All-Star Superman comics. One of the OG superheroes, Superman, and he's one of the finest story, that is All-Star Superman. So let's jump into this beautiful and amazing All-Star Superman comics.
Let's start All-Star Superman by Grant Morrison and Frank. In the very first chapter, which is called Faster, episode 1, that is called Faster, we're seeing the planet Krypton is getting destroyed, and the parents of Kal-El desperately they send their last hope, the sun, the last son of Krypton, through a spaceship to planet Earth. Some scientists are doing some research at the sun, and there is a creature who has been controlled by Lex Luthor from Earth, and this creature is like a time bomb who can explode at any time. And the scientists have got to know that this creature can cause damage to the spaceship. So what they have done is they have called for help to Superman, and Superman, as being Superman, arrives out of nowhere within no time. But here is the trick, and there is where all the things starting to fall apart. Here you can see Superman is very close to the solar chromosphere, which is 6,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is too much even for Superman to handle, because if you know that Kryptonians like Superman, they get the energy from the yellow sun. Their cells feeds into their energy, and they get their energy and the power from the yellow sun. But here, this is all a setup by Lex Luthor. Perry White is trying to expose Lex Luthor. He has to be behind the bars, and then we're seeing the next page. Lex Luthor is controlling that atom bomb like monster, the creature in the space, and we're seeing here Superman fought against that monster, and then he saved all those scientists as usual. The Man of Steel has done his job, and here we are seeing Superman power has been tripled. He's more powerful, he's more energetic, and he's feeling more power within himself. He's getting the vibes of more energy. And the engineer here is explaining to Superman that because you are exposed to too much of sun radiation, now even your cells cannot handle this much amount of energy, so you have become more powerful. But here's the catchphrase, guys. Even though he has become more powerful, but it's because he's been exposed to so much of solar radiation, now his cells are dying and aging faster. So basically, here's the bad news, that Superman is going to die soon, and he is having very less times to live on Earth. But Superman, being Superman, do not want anybody else on Earth to know about that. This is perhaps his very last moments in Earth. Clark Kent, falling and standing and running and settling himself, is finally getting into Daily Planet, where Perry White is very angry of Clark Kent as usual. Here in this page, Lex Luthor is now being captured by the authorities, and according to Lex Luthor, he is aging, and perhaps after a certain age he cannot fight or he cannot compete against the Man of Steel with the Kryptonian. So he has got this master plan of killing Superman with his own powers, that is turning his powers into his weakness. Clark Kent knows that he has very less times left, so he is deciding to tell everything, to unveil that he is the real Man of Steel on Earth. But Lois Lane just cannot believe to the fact that Superman can be Clark Kent, that messy guy from Daily Planet cannot be Kal-El. And in episode number 2, we are seeing Lois Lane is in a complete denial mode. She is in a complete denial mode and she is just not believing the fact that Clark Kent, out of all people, Clark Kent can be the Man of Steel, the Superman. And then we're seeing Superman is taking Lois Lane to a special place, to Fortress of Solitude, because it is Lois Lane's birthday. And Superman has less time left on Earth, so she is taking Lois Lane to the Fortress of Solitude, where the Fortress of Solitude can be opened by a key. Now Lois Lane questions about the privacy of Fortress of Solitude, that if somebody else gets the key, then what happens? Superman explains here the key is made up of super dense dwarf star material and weighs 500,000 tons, and he is the only person who can lift this on Earth. So Fortress of Solitude is in full security. And then we're seeing Lois Lane took her bath. She's getting all dressed up because Superman is probably setting some birthday presents for her somehow. Here we are seeing Lois Lane is being very curious because Superman asks Lois Lane to stay out of his forbidden room, and he do not want Lois Lane to get into this room, and she is thinking that probably Superman is trying to hide something. And then suddenly a futuristic Superman approaches, and at that time the robots, they have come and asked Lois Lane not to interact with the future Superman, which leads to even more confusion in Lois Lane's mind, and she is thinking probably what if Superman is going to try some weird experiment on her. She carries that green kryptonite and she threw it to the Man of Steel. Now if you're thinking Superman will die with this green kryptonite, no way. Because Superman also finds out here that this green kryptonite radiation cannot do anything to him because of his exposure at that 6,000 degree Fahrenheit solar chromosphere. That now he's been immune to the green kryptonite radiation. But then keeping all those things apart, what happens is Superman took Lois Lane to give a present to her. And then we move to episode number 3, that is called Sweet Dreams Superwoman. Superman here is presenting a gift, a present to surprise Lois Lane, and guess what? What are you thinking? A boyfriend giving a gift to a girlfriend? A diamond ring? Nah. A necklace? Nah. He is giving a liquid, a magic serum that can turn any human as a superhuman for 24 hours. In Lois Lane, without giving a second thought, she just drinks it completely because who won't? In Metropolis, there is a big monster, a kaiju-like monster who is destroying someone's expensive car, and the car owner is literally looking pissed, as it should be. One is Superman and the other one is technically the Superwoman. She is Lois Lane. And here Superman is fighting against kaiju, and we are seeing who? Before Superman captures the kaiju, the two superheroes from future, they have arrived to the present time and they are trying to impress Lois Lane, and Superman don't like that a bit, and he is asking one of them to back off. The guy from future is showing a spoiler type of thing here to Superman, a newspaper from the future where it is written Superman is dead. So he is technically saying that if you're going to die in future, then your girl needs someone's shoulder to cry upon. That's why I'm building a bond with her, so that in future I'll be with her for her health. And the guy from future, he explains to Superman that before you die, you'll do 12 heroic stops, which will change the world forever. And then we see an Egyptian monster-like creature just grabs Lois Lane. He asks a question and he says if you answer it correctly, then he will let Lois Lane go away. And the question was, what happens when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object? And Superman answers, they surrender. And the response was acceptable. Superman and Lois Lane, including those two clown superheroes from the future, so what we're seeing is Superman put a condition that if he beats them in arm wrestling together, then they will just let them have their own movement. And as usual, Superman being Superman, without even dropping a sweat, Superman just beats these superheroes simultaneously, and now they're having their own time. And then we see this beautiful panel, and trust me, I mean it from the bottom of my heart, this picture is the most beautiful and the most amazing picture that you can ever see in any comic book page. Here, Superman took Lois Lane to the moon and he said to her that there is one thing that I really wanted to do from the day we first met. And he kissed her passionately on the moon with the earth in the background. So now you can literally sing, "Fly me to the moon." Superman here is still trying to tell to Lois Lane that his time is up. His time is running faster. He will die soon. But Lois Lane at that time has fallen asleep. So Superman took her carefully to the bed and kissed her. Here at episode 4, that is called the Superman's Last Jimmy Olsen War. Jimmy Olsen is going to space for some research, and he is also carrying that Superman emergency watch, where everybody just alarms that Superman emergency watch, that Superman just arrives there at a no time, something bad happens and just presses that watch, and Superman again arrives and saves Jimmy Olsen life. Because of that radiation, there are some changes that are happening in Clark Kent's body, where Superman just, I don't know, he just become angry on Jimmy Olsen and started firing laser beams to Jimmy Olsen, and he's saying some weird stuffs like, "I'm so powerful that I can dominate the earth," and he just breaks the roof and flew away, and Jimmy Olsen screams louder, "Project Red Emergency." Now, what was the Project Red Emergency? And see, the people have developed a way to stop Superman, because Superman, being Superman, is like a god-like character. He's very much powerful. And what if something goes south someday and Superman just turns against the people of Earth? So the scientists have developed a three-way procedure where they can actually stop Superman from doing any harm, and that was coded as Project Red Emergency, where the first part was a cannon they will be shooting from the Phantom Zone, which is shielded from an orbital location, and it is actually also covered with lead, so Superman cannot see through lead. And the second one was kryptonite, and of course Superman is now immune to kryptonite, so there is one thing left, and that is Jimmy Olsen becoming Doomsday. Yeah, you'll be like, what I have just heard, but it is right, because in this book, in this world, we are seeing, like Lois Lane, if somebody can just drink the serum and becomes superhero, then somebody can also turn the opposite way. The same way as here, Jimmy Olsen trying to stop Superman, and he just injects that serum into his neck, and guess what? Jimmy Olsen here, boom, Doomsday here. So now we are having Doomsday fighting against Superman, and here that just helps Superman to get calmed down and get restricted a little. And here we can see from Doomsday again to he is becoming Jimmy Olsen here. And then Superman thanked Jimmy Olsen for preventing him from doing anything harm. So many people have loved this episode. This is called The Gospel According to Lex Luthor. Here Lex Luthor is now charged of crime against humanity, and he is getting behind the bars, and Clark Kent will be there to interview Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor here is basically explaining to Clark Kent that everything that Superman has got is because of his alien nature. He's from Krypton, so he get everything for free. And contrast to that, Lex Luthor has done all the hard works, so he deserves more respect rather than an alien, illegal immigrant like Superman. And Lex Luthor is thinking the people of Earth, if they need help of immigrant alien, then probably we are lacking somewhere behind, which Lex Luthor do not want. And even in one of the panel, Lex Luthor is asking, now can you believe, Lex Luthor is asking Clark Kent to check his biceps, and he's also taunting that, see these guns, see these big biceps, I have made it myself with my hard work and sweat and blood and tears, unlike Superman, because he is an alien. Now as a human, I deserve more. But there is a creature like Parasite. Anybody who is not familiar with the creature of Parasite actually sucks the energy from every living being. So here Clark Kent is walking away, and there is an interesting story here. So Parasite is sucking energy from Clark Kent, and people are like, why this Parasite from this size to this to this to this? He's growing, so he's basically sucking and consuming all the energy from Clark Kent, because Clark Kent is actually Superman, but nobody knows that. So everybody is like, how on earth this guy is consuming energy from somebody and he's becoming so powerful? Who is more powerful in this room? So Clark Kent is like, I have to get out of here without wasting any time. Lex Luthor stopped Clark Kent and he is saying that word, brain beats brawn. Now if you have seen this Superman 2025 movie, the same dialogue is also being used so many times by Clark Kent and as well as by Lex Luthor. Brain beats brawn. He also said the same thing after beating Parasite. And then Lex Luthor is saying, do you know what? You are here for a headline, for a breaking news, and I'm gonna give it to you. I'm gonna give it to you, give it to the world. A breaking news that Superman is going to die. You can see here. He's saying, and he's dying. So Lex Luthor is basically asking Clark Kent, who is Superman himself, and he's saying, go and tell the world the Superman is dying, and start mourning because their hope, that illegal immigrant is going to die soon. But Clark Kent here is constantly praising Lex Luthor that you can both work together, and he's also in some panel trying to say Clark Kent that, you know what if there is no Superman, then probably that beautiful lady Lois Lane, she gets impressed by you because you are also same physique as the Superman, but Superman has also stolen your probably your potential girlfriend. And then we move to episode number 5, that is called Funeral in Smallville. So look at this picture where Superman and Krypto. So in this episode, we're having the glimpse that Krypto will be appearing here in this episode number 6. And we are seeing Jonathan Kent and Clark Kent are having a very loving moment with each other, where Jonathan is still trying to pamper Clark, and Clark Kent is also getting little embarrassed by that. And we're seeing Krypto. There are some people who have just arrived. Some strangers have arrived to Jonathan Kent's farmhouse, and here we are seeing Clark Kent is hanging out with each other, and then they're turning out to be Superman from the future. Like this Superman. He is the Superman from AD 85,250. So they are all the Superman from future, like this Superman. They're all the Superman from the future. They have come here for some reason. And then we are seeing there is suddenly a chronovore. A chronovore is here. Your Jonathan Kent is standing at the farm and looking at the crops. And here we are seeing the two Supermen are actually fighting. That who will fight the chronovore? Kal-El, he's saying that because this is my world, you may be more powerful than me because you have come from the future. But it's because it is my world, so I will be guarding my own city. So he fought with the chronovore. And then suddenly, in a split second, he finds out that he cannot hear his dad, Jonathan Kent's heartbeat anymore. And he just flown away, and you can see his hair also caught fire in that process. Jonathan Kent here had suffered a heart attack. Anybody who is getting confused, that chronovore is a kind of creature who eats precious minutes from your life, and he eats some precious minutes from Clark Kent's life, and within that time only Jonathan Kent suffered a heart attack. And Superman is now here at the funeral, and then he delivers a very emotional speech where he says that his dad taught him that a good heart is worth more than all the money in the bank. He taught him about life and death. He showed him by example how to be good, how to be tough, and how to be kind, and how to dream for a better world. And how Jonathan taught Clark Kent that a man is measured by not what he says, but what he does. And here he also says to him, advised him that if you are stronger, then you better stand for the weak, because the bullies don't like being bullied back. And here we are seeing Clark Kent is now being adamant, and he wants to stay with Martha because he is feeling he's feeling that grief that he couldn't, being also Superman, he couldn't save his dad. But Martha Kent is saying, "Look, Clark, do not belong here. You belong to the people of Earth." And the big presentation where all the Supermen from the future, they have come here and they are greeting to Superman for being so strong and being so powerful mentally and physically also to go through this situation. And they're saying everything happens for a reason, and if that won't have happened, then probably we won't have also existed. Superman is mourning, and by the way, this book is filled with these kind of amazing pictures. Episode number 7, this is called Being Bizarro. Now Bizarro, if anybody don't know, Bizarro is a kind of super villain who is the exact opposite of Superman. And some Bizarros have invaded Earth and they are trying to attack people, and at the same time we are seeing Superman just comes in a time and he saves a lady from falling down. And then the Bizarro and Superman had a fight, and then Bizarro finally said that's it, I cannot fight anymore. And then Superman wants to get out of that Bizarro world, and there is now a character that is named Jibaro. Now Jibaro is a character that is in every million Bizarros there is a Jibaro, and Jibaro is basically the perfect version of a guy who talks straight and who does everything straight. But in Bizarro world, he is considered to be the weird one, because all the weird ones, Bizarros, they think that they are perfect, and Jibaro is not. So Jibaro is also desperately wanting to get out of this universe as fast as he can, and so is Superman. Episode number 8, which is called Us Do Opposite, where we are seeing the same procedure gets followed, and we are seeing Superman finally gets his way out of this Jibaro world. And here we are seeing that Superman and Jibaro is having a beautiful moment where Jibaro is explaining to Superman that how he is also feeling left out in this world and nobody cares for him. So that is why he wants to leave this world, because everyone thinks he's weird, and you know how it feels to be left alone in a world where everyone thinks you are the different one. And then finally Superman, with the help of that rocket, he leaves the planet. Jibaro stays with a promise from Kal-El that one day he will also rescue Jibaro. Now an interesting chapter, episode number 8, that is called The Curse of the Replacement Superman. And here we are seeing Superman is now out from the real world for 2 or 3 months, and within that 2 or 3 months, two Kryptonians are trying to build a metropolis as similar as Krypton, and they are thinking that they should make all the human follow the Kryptonian religion, and that's why they are designing and architecting the city of Metropolis exactly like Krypton. And then Superman here confronts them. You being named as the last son of Krypton, what have you done for your own planet? And you have not built this earth like a Krypton, which you should have done. Now Superman here, with standing firm in his moral grounds, that said, I cannot force my religions, I cannot force my belief, I cannot force my faith to somebody if they don't want to believe. And that's how we get a mentally strong Superman and his morals and his values. And this is one of the most beautiful Superman movement that you can see. Don't want to, because he is like that only. He will not force his morals and his values on others. And now we are seeing with that conflict, these two Kryptonians are fighting with Superman, and then they discover a weird thing where these two Kryptonians, because they have come to the Earth and this is a new place for them, unlike Kal-El, who has been brought up in the atmosphere of Earth, so he can adopt. And these two new Kryptonians, they are falling sick because they cannot adjust to the atmosphere of Earth. But here Superman, being kind-hearted, he could have taken their advantage, but he said, I can help you, I can send you to the Phantom Zone. All your diseases will be cured, but for that you have to leave Earth and you have to go to the Phantom Zone. And the male Kryptonian and the female Kryptonian, they are like lovebirds, and they both decided, they hold each other hands, and they decided that they will leave to Phantom Zone. Most beautiful panel again, As I said, that also Superman is filled with some beautiful and amazing graphical representation of Superman's mythos. And here we are seeing episode number 10, that is called Never Ending. Number 10, we are seeing Superman is visiting some children in the hospital, and all of them are feeling very happy after seeing Superman. And the nurse is also saying that you are visiting these children, and I have never seen them so happy before. Just keep visiting. This is who Superman is. Superman's beliefs and morals. He's like a human. Panel, we are seeing Superman knows that his time is still wondering about what are those 12 humongous work that Superman has to do before he dies. Then one of it is saving the first manned mission to the sun, where Superman absorbs the fatal overdose of solar radiation. And the second one was he creates that super elixir that grants Lois Lane the temporary superpower. And then the third one was answering that unanswerable question to that Egyptian creature. And then fourth, he fought against Chronover. And in fifth, he went to the Bizarro world. Sixth, that is returning from the underverse. And in seventh, creating life, which we'll discuss in this episode. And in his feat number 8, that is liberating Kandor. And in his feat number 9, that is leaving behind the recipe formula for Superman 2. In his 10th feat, that is defeating Solaris, the tyrant sun. And in 11, that is conquering death. Finally, in number 12, his feat, building an artificial heart for the sun. And this is one of the most inspiring and beautiful panel that you will ever see in any comics. From the roof, she's trying to end her life, and Superman arrives. And here we are seeing Superman just arrives out of nowhere. Then he hugs Reagan, and he told her that you are much stronger than you think you are. Trust me. And then after saying those lines, he hugs her and saves Reagan from ending her life. Now this suggests that for Superman, every life matters, be it saving the world from doomsday or dark side, or even saving a little girl's life like Reagan. This is really heart touching, and this actually is one of the most beautiful moment in entire comic book pages. Superman again confronts Lex Luthor about having peace with each other, but Lex Luthor, as being Lex Luthor, he spits onto Superman's face. And then Superman, as you can see here, he is seeing that he is going to die soon. And here the entire concept is Superman is thinking, what if Superman don't exist in a real world anymore? So how that world will look like? So he creates a world that is called Earth Q. Here, as you can see, it is called Earth Q, and in Earth Q, he started a new civilization. And here we are seeing the people from ancient ages, and they are here figuring out how to develop themselves. And then in Earth Q, we are seeing people are building new statues, and we are seeing here in Earth Q, people are developing. And we are seeing here that it is actually a reference to Superman's own version of planet Earth that we are living today's world. And here we are seeing Superman is actually giving that magical serum. He has his genetic DNA infused in these serums. And we are seeing here there is a guy who is trying to draw Superman, and it is like that golden age Superman moment where he's saying this is going to change everything. So basically this is the reference to current world. So Superman is like a thing that Superman exists in today's planet Earth without existing. Here comes episode number 11, which is called Red Sunday, and we are seeing that Lex Luthor will die soon by electric chair. And then we think Lex Luthor has that magical serum before, so suddenly he gets all those powers here. He even stops a bullet, and now for 24 hours he become like Superman. And here Superman is telling the robots to take care of these animals and how to protect the earth after him. Lex Luthor have actually had a partnership with tyrant sun, that it will attack planet and it will make planet completely a red sun territory where Superman cannot have his supernatural powers anymore. Superman is now also here getting ready to fight against the tyrant sun, so he uses his special suit and all his robots. They also decides to go with them, and they all flown to the tyrant sun to fight against it. Superman just loses his cool, and then he punches tyrant sun so hard that it just landed in the city of Metropolis. And then we are seeing Superman completely defeated Tyrant Sun. And then Clark Kent is now at Daily Planet writing that article that is called Superman Dead. And suddenly he just collapses, and Lex Luthor arrives and says, if anything for you guys to worry about, it's not Clark Kent passing away, but it is your new hero, your new messiah, that is Lex Luthor. Episode number 12. After Clark Kent collapsing to the ground, he basically passes away. And then, as Kryptonian, before going to the afterlife, there is a place where all the Kryptonians go. From the life of planet Earth to the afterlife, in between there is a life where the Kryptonian, where his Kryptonian father, Jor-El, he finds him, cannot recognize Jor-El as his father, so he's referring to him as Jor-El. And Jor-El is trying to explain to Kal-El that you are a Kryptonian and you are currently at a midlife where if you decide to go back to Earth to complete your incomplete business, or even if you want, then you can also move past with that and move to your afterlife. And of course we know Superman lives for all of us. He do not live for himself, and he decides to come back. And how Clark Kent now is back in his senses. He has a gravity gun and he shoots directly to Lex Luthor with his gravity gun. And why so? Because we will get to know that in some few minutes, which is when Lex Luthor and Superman, when they fought with each other, Lex Luthor, with that magical serum, Lex Luthor was supposed to have those superpowers for 24 hours. But guess what? His superpower is just out of his bloodstream now within no minutes, because Superman hits him with that gravity gun. Now Lex Luthor is powerless. And here we are seeing Lex Luthor is crying, because the moment he has Superman's own power, he sees something and he realizes something, that why Superman is so nice. And he sees from the eyes of Superman, as you can see, that Lex is now here about to cry. And Lex is saying that Superman sees this all the time. Everyone is connected to each other. Everything happens for a reason. Each one of us is connected to each one of the other in some way that makes us human as together. And that's what he sees all the time. And seeing that, he gets emotional. And by that time, Superman gets his consciousness, and he kicks him and he just beats the F out of him. And then we're seeing Superman's face starting to degrade. Lois Lane is saying, I know you can do anything and you can also beat that. And here is an emotional scene where they finally kissed to each other, and Lois Lane is literally crying, and Superman is like, the world needs me, so I'll have to go. He just took his last flight, and that was the last appearance of Superman on planet Earth. And Lois Lane screamed, I love you, Superman, like we all do. And then we see, long time after, there is a statue of Superman, and people are thinking Superman is dead. And Jimmy Olsen is saying, you are not paying the tribute to Superman. And Lois Lane is like, Superman is not dead. Now, if any of you have seen it in the internet that in Ultra Superman dies, no, he doesn't. Because here, Lois Lane is saying, we published that Superman is dead because of a warning to be carried back through time to the past. Lois Lane is finally, he is there doing his work. He is keeping the Yellow Sun alive for all of us. And when he finishes his thing, his job, he knows where to find me. And then we are seeing Kal-El is doing his thing. He has actually built an artificial heart for the Yellow Sun, and he is keeping the Yellow Sun alive for all of us. And then we are seeing the engineer is now saying, will Superman ever come back? And if he doesn't, then he has already given the remedy for that, his DNA imprints. So the engineer is thinking about Project Superman 2, and that is the end of All Star Superman. This is a beautiful comics.
Hope you like this video. If you haven't read that All-Star Superman comics, hope all of your doubts are cleared by now. But if you still have any doubts or any confusion regarding this All-Star Superman comics, then do let me know in the comment box and I'll try to answer each and every question of yours. I'm also pretty pumped now for episode number 2. And also comment down below what else comic books you want me to cover in Comics Simplified. Until then, this is Comics Planet signing out.